Hello everyone, we are back with another episode of the exclusive series with NEFS. We are at the NEFS conference right now, and we've gotten someone who's familiar to say the least. But before that, of course, it's not just me hosting. We've got Muthu Ramanathan as well. He's our Head of FICC. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Naman. Yeah, my name's Muthu. I'm a first-year economics student at the University of Nottingham and the Head of FICC. Delighted to be here and ready to get going.
Yeah, amazing. And of course, we're doing this quick-fire short series. And I don't want to take away the introduction from the guests. So how are you? And could you just introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, doing well. I've really enjoyed the NEFS conference so far. But a bit of introduction to myself. So I'm Martin Lin. I'm a third-year Consulting Apprentice at one of the big four firms and currently within the Financial Transformation division, but I've also worked within risk consulting more generally in my first 2 years as well. And then also outside of work, I do a lot of kind of social mobility work around empowering students and kind of tackling a big problem, which is youth unemployment through different organisations, which I not only partner with, but also help run events for too.
Amazing. And of course, a lot of you guys may recognize him from the earlier series of the podcast, but just to kick things off then, I think, and a nice question to kind of open up the discussion. Mm-hmm. So your early interests within, I guess, finance, or how did they start, and then how did they come about, and yeah, how did you pursue them?
Yeah, I think naturally. So I kind of moved into my role through an apprenticeship, a degree apprenticeship. Mm-hmm. So kind of generated that little bit of interest into my where I wanted to go into my career at the start of my A-levels. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed throughout my A-levels was the A-levels that I did. So I did business, economics, and history as well. Okay. And just going through those different modules which I was exposed to, it was one of the reasons why I decided to choose consulting as a path. Mm-hmm. In terms of kind of my thinking around it, I really enjoyed the analytical parts of business A-level. There were kind of concepts. Maslow's hierarchy of needs was a big one, and loads of different areas and different people which really interested me within kind of that business and corporate space, and similar to economics as well. So that's kind of where my interest in finance peaked within kind of that age bracket between 16 to 18. I was lucky enough to kind of apply for a degree apprenticeship at the big four firm that I'm at now, and kind of bring that role into life.
So consulting is such a massive space, right? And you've got so many transferable skills, but what's one skill that you think is best to really build upon to enter this great career?
That's a really good question. I think if I had to give a balanced answer, it's never all about one skill. You're always going to need a balanced skill set, in my opinion, to be in any career, and especially in consulting as well, where you can work in so many different industries. If I had to pick a skill that was something I'd recommend to students, and I think also one of the skills I recommend to my mentees as well, is the skill of communication. I honestly think communication is one of the most important skills to have professionally, but also personally as well. It's something which you exercise every day, but on a kind of business level, in consulting you talk to clients more often than not every day. And it's also one of the things that really drives the collaborative environment that we work into as an industry. For me, communication has also got me personally quite far in terms of the things that I do within work. Even networking internally, talking to partners, talking to directors, but also your colleagues around you, has been a big core part of what I do for my personal brand and what I've done. But also talking to people outside of your firm and organization. Communication for me, and it links in with kind of the power of networking as well, is one of the strongest skills I highly recommend that any student, even any career professional in general, should really focus on if they want to break into consulting or are just wanting to improve their consulting skills already.
I mean, I couldn't agree more, but I guess your route into your current role, the degree apprenticeship role, it's unique, isn't it? Yeah. It's not many people do it. So. And one thing I find really, I guess, even now, potentially we're walking into a summer internship at age 21. It already seems scary. So how are you, walking into one of the largest organizations out there at 18 years old? So how was that, and how did, I guess, what were your expectations on that end?
Yeah, it was a very daunting experience. I mean, I'm going back 2-3 years, right? But a bit about my background. So my family have never been in kind of a corporate role or university. So in terms of that, I didn't have anyone really to rely on or talk to. I had never heard of LinkedIn before I applied to apprenticeships. And kind of that concept was very foreign. But I think one of the things that really helped me prepare was going out there and actually talking to people organically around things like careers. It's one of the things that my school really promoted, which I'm super grateful for. But also, I've worked part-time since I was 16. And I think that skill set as well, kind of, like I said, communication, but also stakeholder management. Those were kind of, touch points which really helps me not only, get an understanding of, I want to do something like an apprenticeship where I get that work experience fairly early and want to go straight into work, but also help me manage that, imposter syndrome environment at 18 when you go into a big corporate firm. For me, it was, that experience, number one, but also getting out there, talking to people around what I wanted to do, which then gave me the confidence to actually do it. It's hard, especially going in, but it's one of those things, and I think with many things in life as well, you just have to go in, do it, and you'll make mistakes. But at the end of the day, it's those mistakes that help you grow and keep you going.
So within your apprenticeship journey so far, are there any particular highlights or projects you've worked on that's been really interesting and you've really enjoyed that you'd like to share?
Wow, it's a good question. I mean, like I said, I've worked across a range of different departments, a range of different sectors as well. I think some of the key pieces of work that I've done in public sector with some clients that are very well known to kind of a lot of the wider public and probably yourselves as well. Things like reducing wait lists for public health sector organisations, even work with universities around how do we improve student satisfaction. I've also done things like fire and gas safety. I think in terms of a professional outlook, I feel like the work that I've done within public sector for kind of the first 1-2 years of my career have been a really big highlight. But I think outside of that as well, through my role, through what I've also done outside of work, I've been able to talk to kind of different stakeholders around pressing things in the UK. I think I mentioned youth unemployment in my introduction at the start, but so being able to talk to government officials, over 100 of them, at conferences and events around social mobility and how do we tackle that crisis. Youth unemployment has always been a key topic, geographical mobility as well. So I think outside of my work, one of my personal highlights has been really pushing for change within something that's really prominent, especially in the graduate market at the moment, but also starting to come down into your aspiring apprentice, your 16 to 18 year olds too.
Amazing. Your passion for the topic comes across, especially the fact that you're continuing something on beyond your your day to day. So it's something that's really respectful. But then I guess kind of zoning in on consulting specifically then, is there any, I mean, you mentioned you had mentees as well. So is there any misconceptions people have regarding consulting itself as a career path?
That's a really good question. I think in terms of misconceptions, consulting really comes into the kind of broader corporate, that corporate setting that a lot of people talk about. I think there are a few misconceptions around things like work-life balance and social life. And I think that's something that, as a degree apprentice, something that really scared me when I was going into the organisation that I'm at now. But I think one of the things that's really helps me in terms of debunking that myth was, number one, talking to people once I got into where I am now, but also exploring opportunities outside of work and being able to, just talk to other apprentices, other communities from other firms as well. So in terms of misconceptions, I think that was a very big one. But I also think another one is around kind of the social background you have to be in, or kind of, the background you're coming from to go into this type of role. I mean, for me, my parents, didn't go to university, didn't really have any meaningful higher education. So to come into a role that, I've had no clue about and really just stuck myself in, one of the misconceptions that I had was that it was going to be, overly complicated. I wasn't going to understand. It wasn't where I was meant to be. But that's also something that, I've been disproven time and time again, just through, what I've done at my firm.
So you mentioned the importance of networking and speaking to many other people, but especially for our listeners as well, let's say they were introverted and quite shy, how would you expect them to like break out of their shell and to really get them going?
I think that's a really good question. And it's one of those questions that I talk about at schools as well, because a lot of people tell you, go network, right? Do that networking, but no one really tells you how. So I think especially if you're introverted or if you've not had that experience before, I think one of the key things for me was that 2-3 years ago, I would have never talked to, the audiences that I talk to now. And part of it is just by, number one, doing it. And whether it's just 5 people, 10 people, whether it's just 1 or 2 people. And it could be in a school setting, it could be in a professional setting, it could be walking from home and talking to a stranger, right? And there's so many times where you can, throughout your day, improve that networking skill and ability. But I think that's quite a common piece of advice. I think something else that's really helped me as well, especially going into a corporate environment, is filming myself answering questions or having conversations. It sounds weird. It does sound weird. But it's something I tell all my mentees to do. And one of the things that it's really helped me with is understanding how I come across, both from a verbal aspect, so how I sound, but also from a non-verbal aspect as well. I think there are 3 different kind of types of images which are really important. There's like your physical image, so how do you look, and physical appearance, your clothing. There's your non-verbal image, so kind of your body language, right? And there's also kind of the verbal aspect as well. And I think something that a lot of students don't really understand about image is that they kind of merge them all into one. Whereas you can kind of practice each aspect in every one of them and through videos and looking at yourself, right? So what I do is I record a video sometimes when I'm preparing a speech or preparing something to talk about. And I will, first of all, put on mute when I replay it to see and really focus on my non-verbals. See what I'm doing wrong. Am I moving around too much? I don't know, right? And then not looking at the video next time, but having the audio on. Am I umming and ahhing? Am I saying like, actually? Which I probably am. But it's actively finding those different kind of pieces out, because once you realize you're doing it, it then becomes much easier to rectify it. So I think that's my networking advice.
Yeah, 100%. There's some straight up gold nuggets right over there. But we are coming to the end of the quickfire series. So the last 2 questions you may remember from our longer episodes that we always ask. So I'll kick things off then. So looking back at your continuing career journey, what's something that you're the most proud of?
Oh, I mean, I'm super proud of, I think, number one, doing the work that I'm able to do. So one of the organizations that I'm heavily involved in is an organization called OuterCircle. And a few of the things that we do is we do aspiring apprentice workshops, helping students try and get into apprenticeships. We do school outreach initiatives, trying to get out to students through our current apprentice ambassador team, and really telling students around how amazing apprenticeships are. I think that's one thing. But also, I think the biggest highlight for me is also being recognized for that. So I've had the privilege of being able to win 2 awards just off the back of that. So one of them was on courtesy of BPP. It was the Suzanne Finch Champion Award in 2025, where I was recognised for my apprenticeship advocacy work. And the more recent one was also in 2025 for the Multicultural Apprenticeship Awards, where I won Apprentice of the Year for my industry. Yeah, so thank you very much.
It's amazing. No,
thank you. So 2 big highlights.
Amazing.
So I mean, it's great that you've achieved so much and really stepped into your role as a consultant under the Big Four. But now looking back and reflecting on yourself, what's one piece of advice that you'd give to younger self?
Oh, to my younger self.
It's always a tricky one.
It is a very tricky one. I think something I lacked in my younger self, I would have wanted to kind of go back and talk to them about, is really take every opportunity that comes along. As long as it's reasonable, I think is the key point. 100%. But there are so many things that I think when I was younger, I felt, I didn't need to do, and it's going to waste my time. But really, there are so many small marginal pieces of information, advice, marginal gains that you can get from just doing a broad range of things. It's something I've adopted into my life as well. So every month I try and get to do one new activity. This month is bouldering. And I see if it kind of sticks in my life and habits for kind of the foreseeable future. So some of the previous things I've done are like chess, which is something I still continue, still in the background. I did skiing in December. even kind of more mental things like meditation and things like that, is really trying whatever you can, because there's so many different perspectives, so many different people you can meet. And I think that is the advice I give to my younger self.
Amazing. You've given us so much in such a short space of time, so I'm just going to finish it off there. Thanks so much for giving us your time, Martin. And of course, there'll be more coming soon on this series and more episodes from the Smart Rich Show. Thank you.